Hi, I'm Cameron Patterson, and welcome to my 2025 complete 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray collection update. Thank you so much for clicking on this video, as I'm incredibly excited to showcase how my collection has grown over the last year. Now, I've been posting these collection updates for the last 3 years in a row. However, I've been collecting physical media for precisely the last 5.5 years, going back to May of 2020. I love cinema, and I obviously love physical media, so if you're the same way and you love movies and you collect physical media too, whether it be VHS, Laserdisc, DVD, Blu-ray, or 4K, please leave a comment, like, and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy what you see here today. So without further ado, once again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoy. My Bond 50 collection, going from 1962's Dr. No, starring Sean Connery, through 2012's Skyfall, starring Daniel Craig, his third outing as James Bond, Christopher Nolan's magnum opus, Oppenheimer, former Best Buy exclusive 4K Steelbook, Dredd, former Best Buy exclusive 4K Lionsgate Steelbook, the Hobbit Trilogy 4K Steelbook collection, Stanley Kubrick's Full Metal Jacket, my personal favorite Stanley Kubrick film, an absolutely incredible film, T2 Judgment Day, beautiful Steelbook from Lionsgate, the Lord of the Rings 4K Steelbook collection. Here's my Star Wars collection. All 9 films in Steelbook, in addition to the Rogue One spin-off film. Some other miscellaneous movie items. Arnold there in the back. Got some collector pins from the Batman, the XD event from 2022, Top Gun Maverick from 2022, and then Spider-Man, Thanos. Now these are all the domestically released individual Bond Steelbooks. So from Russia with Love, Thunderball, You Only Live Twice, those are all Sean Connery. On Her Majesty's Secret Service, that's the one George Lazenby film from 1969. Diamonds Are Forever from 71, Sean Connery's return. For Your Eyes Only, Roger Moore. And then Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, Skyfall, Spectre, No Time to Die, those are all Daniel Craig. These are the new 4Ks for 5 out of the 6 canon Sean Connery films, excluding the non-canon Never Say Never Again from 1983. I got the Sean Connery Steelbook set, which I'll show a little bit later in the video. These went down to $12.99 during Black Friday, so just because I love James Bond so much, as it is my favorite film franchise of all time, for $12.99 with the individual 4K slips, I just couldn't pass them up. But Dr. No never went down to $12.99 for whatever reason, so I currently don't have that one, but maybe I'll pick it up in the future. All of my grandfather's old Ian Fleming 007 novels, and I've said this in my previous videos, but I love that they have the wear to them that they do, just because it gives them that age and that personality. It really just means a lot that he passed those down to me, so always love having those. Then here is my short but sweet Arrow collection, Hugo from Martin Scorsese, which is actually a great movie, and I rewatched that earlier this year when I got the 4K, and it looks excellent on 4K. It's got a 178:1 aspect ratio, so it's going to fill up your entire TV, and it looks beautiful on 4K, and it's one of his only family films, if not his only family film, but very good Martin Scorsese picture. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, and then the Texas Chainsaw Massacre The Beginning prequel to the 2003 remake. So the 2003 film and the 2006 film. Really enjoy both of these, a lot of fun. I prefer the 2003 film, but I do think the 2006 one is quite fun as well. Demolition Man, RoboCop, and True Romance. And the True Romance is the Steelbook edition. And here's my MCU collection. I do have every film on 4K with the slipcover, intentionally excluding the Marvels. And then I just have the standard Blu-ray edition of The Incredible Hulk, which I'm perfectly happy with for now. It's got the green case and the lenticular slipcover, which I really love, and I'm waiting to find The Incredible Hulk on 4K with the slipcover at a better price than what I've seen for it on eBay at this point in time. Now, I will be typically mentioning the second film in each section of my shelving unit first, just because, as you can see, the first film in each part of the shelf is covered up by the corner, but I will obviously still make sure to mention the films that are in those corner slots. So obviously the first film of the MCU is Iron Man, but I will first show The Incredible Hulk, the original Iron Man from 2008. Thoroughly enjoy The Incredible Hulk as well, both from 2008. Iron Man 2, which is not as good as the original Iron Man, but I've never disliked it as much as everyone else, I feel like. Thor. Captain America, the First Avenger, really, really good movie. I watched all the Captain America films earlier this year leading up to Brave New World, and I forgot how much I enjoyed the First Avenger. It's really good. The Avengers. Iron Man 3. Thor: The Dark World. Captain America: The Winter Soldier, definitely a top 5 MCU film. Great movie. Guardians of the Galaxy, another great MCU film. Avengers: Age of Ultron. Ant-Man. Captain America: Civil War, a fun movie, but it's actually my least favorite of the 3 Chris Evans solo Cap films, even though that's kind of like Avengers 2.5. But I like Civil War, I just don't like it as much as the first Avenger and the Winter Soldier, actually. Doctor Strange. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Upon my last watch of this, I didn't really like this movie that much, but I'll give it another rewatch again at some point. Spider-Man: Homecoming. Really enjoy this film. A lot of fun. Thor: Ragnarok. Definitely the best solo Thor movie. Black Panther. Avengers: Infinity War. Ant-Man and the Wasp. Captain Marvel. Avengers: Endgame. Awesome movie, and oh, that's an awesome slipcover. Love it. Spider-Man: Far From Home. Black Widow. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Fun movie. Eternals, everyone's favorite MCU film. Another top 5 MCU film for me, Spider-Man: No Way Home. Awesome movie, and that was just an amazing theatrical experience. Then Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Incredibly disappointing coming off the heels of Spider-Man: No Way Home. Another big disappointment, Thor: Love and Thunder, but I do love the slipcover on that. This was a Walmart exclusive slipcover. Okay. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 in the corner, which I'll show. But another top 5 MCU film for me, and that is Deadpool and Wolverine. Absolutely love this movie. So much fun. Just a fun movie. Another MCU film that had a lot of hype going into it, kind of like No Way Home. And also like No Way Home, it lived up to the hype. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, great movie. And then these are all the 2025 MCU films. Captain America, Brave New World. Thunderbolts. The Fantastic Four, First Steps. Thoroughly enjoyed this film. The Fantastic Four, First Steps is definitely my personal favorite superhero film of 2025. And this film's a little bit more special to me because my dad and I actually went to a true IMAX theater to see this in 143:1 dual laser IMAX digital, which showcased footage in the true IMAX 143:1 aspect ratio. So for example, when Galactus shows up at the climax of the film, it was full screen IMAX. When you see Galactus for the first time in about the middle of the film, it was full IMAX aspect ratio as well. So yeah, you know, it's not often that we get to see movies in the true IMAX 143:1 aspect ratio. Most other IMAX screenings of this film were in the 190 aspect ratio, which I saw it in 190 IMAX 3D as well, and it looked great. And 190 is still a great way to watch a movie in IMAX. That still is an IMAX exclusive expanded aspect ratio, but to see this in the true IMAX aspect ratio with a couple of those Galactus scenes made the experience that much more memorable, that much more special. And I really just enjoyed the movie on top of that. You know, I really liked the 1960s aesthetic of the film, and I think they did a really great job with this. Easily the best Fantastic Four movie ever made, but definitely my favorite comic book film of 2025. And then some MCU adjacent films. The 2016 Deadpool, got the Blu-ray slip, but it is the 4K. Fun movie. I don't love it, but it is a fun movie. I think the Deadpool movies just keep getting better because I actually thoroughly enjoyed Deadpool 2 again on the rewatch as I watched both of them again going into Deadpool and Wolverine last year. And yeah, Deadpool 2 is a ton of fun. So I still have Deadpool and Wolverine in its rightful spot within the MCU films, but it just felt right to have Deadpool and Deadpool 2 up here as well. All right, so then we start getting into my DC films. The original Superman, the movie, which is just one of my favorite films of all time. I rewatched it heading into Superman 2025 earlier this year, and the new Superman film does not compare to this. I mean, this is just an absolutely incredible film. There's just something so pure about this original Christopher Reeve film. And Christopher Reeve is always going to be my favorite Superman. Watching Superman, the movie 1978 versus Superman 2025, I mean, they're just completely different movies. So at the same time, it's also hard to compare them. This is definitely my favorite Superman film still, and just one of my favorite films of all time, like I said. But when it comes to the new DCU, I did enjoy this Superman 2025 film. It's a great lenticular slip right there. What this film is, it's a Saturday morning cartoon, right? So if you want a big, bombastic Saturday morning cartoon, that's what you get with this Superman 2025 film. So maybe from like an action perspective, Superman 2025 you could say is better than the 1978 film, but just as a pure piece of cinema, I would go with the 1978 film any day. But I still enjoyed Superman 2025 nonetheless. And then you got the Zack Snyder Justice League trilogy, which includes Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, the Ultimate Edition, and Zack Snyder's Justice League. Really beautiful set. And then I have my Batman anthology collection, which includes both of the Michael Keaton, Tim Burton films, and then Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. Just kind of a way for me to own all four of those original, Batman films, going from 1989 to 1997 in one conclusive set. But then I have my individual slipcover Batman collection, which includes the 1989 film individually on 4K with the slipcover, But I actually much prefer 1992's Batman Returns with Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman and Danny DeVito as the Penguin. But I kind of made a Michael Keaton Batman trilogy right here, all 3 films that he shows up in live action, which is why I have included The Flash here as well. But I thoroughly enjoy The Flash. I think it's a really fun movie and it looks awesome on 4K, even though some of the effects are questionable at best. It's just a fun popcorn flick, similar to being in the vein of the new Superman film. You know, they kind of feel like they take place in the same universe, even though that's the DCU and this is the former DCEU, but nevertheless, they feel like they take place in the same universe. They're both just popcorn fun. And then we got the Nolan flicks. So Batman Begins, great origin story. Then The Dark Knight, another one of my favorite films of all time, as it is for most people, rightfully so. The Dark Knight Rises, I think, is great. Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, but this is actually the re-released 4K edition with the IMAX exclusive aspect ratio included. I just kept the old slipcover. An individual copy of Justice League, which I really like the Snyder Cut a lot. I mean, it's not the most rewatchable movie in the world, but I've seen it twice and I think it's great. And then my personal favorite Batman film, and another one of my favorite films of all time, The Batman, starring Robert Pattinson. Excellent film. And I have the Target exclusive of The Batman as well, which has an extra Blu-ray bonus disc. And then we got The Penguin, HBO original, on Blu-ray. And then another one of my favorite films of all time, Joker from 2019, followed by the incredibly disappointing Joker 2, aka Joker Folie à Deux. You know, this film for me is a mixed bag. It's obviously incredibly disappointing compared to the 2019 film. I don't hate it like everyone else does. I think there is merit to it. It's just a mixed bag, in my opinion. But it does look amazing on 4K. If you like the look of the 2019 film, you're gonna like the look of that movie as well. Batman, The Killing Joke. All right, and now going into some A24 and Criterion, Civil War, which I thoroughly enjoyed. I was looking on eBay and apparently this is really out of print. This was a Best Buy exclusive 4K when it came out, and maybe that's why they just printed less copies, I guess, but got Bodies, Bodies, Bodies on 4K. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. This was a Walmart exclusive slipcover edition. Ex Machina, really good sci-fi flick. The Green Knight. The Witch, The Disaster Artist, great movie. Good Time. The Iron Claw, absolutely great movie. It's incredibly depressing, so it's not the most rewatchable movie, but it's definitely a great film, and Zac Efron, believe it or not, gives an excellent performance. So thoroughly recommend The Iron Claw. Came out 2 years ago, back in late 2023. The Lighthouse. Men. Priscilla. I actually really like Priscilla a lot. I think it's a great companion piece to the 2022 Elvis film, as that Elvis film, while I love it, it does really shortchange Priscilla. And I get that the movie's called Elvis, but she was a big part of his life, and so this Priscilla film really fills in a lot of those gaps that Elvis film left out, and so they make a really good double feature, and I appreciated this film so much more because she was so shortchanged in the 2022 Elvis film. So I'm a big fan of Elvis, really enjoyed Priscilla. The Spectacular Now, really good movie. The Whale. X, fun slasher, their new kind of packaging. Got Baby Girl. The Brutalist. And Warfare. Which I really enjoyed Warfare. I didn't love it like I wanted to, but I did enjoy it. All right, getting into my Criterions. These are all 4K, except Following is a standard Blu-ray, which does not have a 4K, at least domestically does not have a 4K. So getting into my Criterions, we got the newly released Eyes Wide Shut, Stanley Kubrick's final film. Definitely not one of the best Kubrick films, very weird, very bizarre. The middle of the movie is especially very bizarre. But, you know, the film's okay. It's definitely interesting, you know, especially considering that Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman were actually married in real life as of the filming of this movie and as of the release of the film back in 1999. So they play a married couple in the film, and so that makes the dynamic with their characters that much more interesting and authentic since they were actually married in real life at the same time. So yeah, Eyes Wide Shut, interesting film. I want to try to own just about all of Kubrick's films, so this was a no-brainer pickup for me, but definitely not one of his better films. It's okay. And then Following, this is the directorial debut of Christopher Nolan. Really, really good film. I would thoroughly recommend anyone give Following a watch and pick up this Blu-ray Criterion. I mean, maybe wait until a sale to pick up the Blu-ray Criterion, but it's worth it. It's a really good film. Okay, then Mean Streets. No Country for Old Men. Great movie. Paul Thomas Anderson's Punch Drunk Love. Looking forward to giving that a watch. Just got that during the past Criterion sale. Raging Bull. And then got a few of the box set editions. Another Stanley Kubrick, Barry Lyndon. Dazed and Confused. Uncut Gems. Really good movie. Really stressful movie. Wall-E. I am now going to begin with my alphabetical and A through Z titles. So there is Two Guns in the corner, and then 8 Mile, which is a really good movie and actually looks great in 4K. Two Guns. 21 Jump Street, 22 Jump Street, both great comedies. 28 Years Later, I'm looking forward to 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, which comes out next month as of the time that I'm filming this video. Another great comedy, The 40-Year-Old Virgin. 47 Ronin, 48 Hours, another 48 Hours, 300, great movie, 1917, another great film, Stanley Kubrick's 2001: A Space Odyssey, looks excellent in 4K Ultra HD. 2012, The Abyss, Adaptation, The Addams Family, Airplane, an excellent comedy, hilarious movie, still holds up. Air Force One, and then one of my favorite films of all time, Alien, and the Alien franchise is my second favorite film franchise of all time behind James Bond. Aliens. Hey Vasquez, have you ever been mistaken for a man? No, have you? Gotta love Bill Paxton. Prometheus, another one of my favorite films of all time, and I still vividly remember seeing Prometheus back during its opening weekend in June of 2012 in Cinemark XD, Real D 3D, and this was one of those cinematic experiences when I was growing up that really shaped the love of cinema that I have to this day. Absolutely love Prometheus. Alien Covenant, which I'm beginning to dislike the more and more that I watch it. There are some really good scenes in this film, but overall, it's a bad movie. It just is. But it looks great on 4K. Alita Battle Angel. Amadeus. Ambulance. American Made. American Pie, hilarious movie. American Psycho. American Sniper, one of my favorite Clint Eastwood directed films. Anchorman. Argo. Annihilation. Arrival. Avatar. Avatar: The Way of Water, which would still be my favorite, as I just saw Avatar: Fire and Ash and thought it was okay, but The Way of Water is still my favorite. Baby Driver. Barbie. Looks great in 4K. Baywatch, guilty pleasure, but I enjoy it for what it is. A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. The Beekeeper. Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice. The Big Lebowski. Oh, careful, man, there's a beverage here. The Bike Riders. Black Adam. Blade. Blade Runner 2049. One of the great comedies of all time, Blazing Saddles. Blue Beetle. The Bourne Identity. The Bourne Supremacy. The Bourne Ultimatum, which is my favorite of the franchise. The Bourne Legacy, which I think is overhated. And Jason Bourne, which is the worst of the franchise, in my opinion. Braveheart. Brawl in Cell Block 99. The Bridge on the River Kwai. Bullet Train. Casablanca, Casino, and Catch Me If You Can. An excellent movie. Caught Stealing is in the corner. Then Central Intelligence. Caught Stealing. A Christmas Story. Christmas Vacation. Cliffhanger. Kubrick's A Clockwork Orange. Cloverfield. Collateral. A Complete Unknown. I do want to note that when this came out, I saw a lot of people not getting this with a slipcover, and I actually originally bought the Blu-ray of this film at Walmart because I figured that the 4K just didn't have a slipcover because people were posting it on eBay without a slipcover, and some people posted unboxings on YouTube without a slipcover. And so I was like, you know what, it's gonna look great on Blu-ray. I'll just pick up the Blu-ray with the slipcover from Walmart. But then I did see one listing on eBay like a day later after I bought the Blu-ray, and the listing on eBay that was a 4K did have a slipcover. So I'm like, okay, well, there is a slipcover out there for the film. And so I went ahead and just ordered a copy off of Amazon. This was still back in April when the film released on 4K, and I got it with a slipcover. So I immediately returned that Blu-ray, and I got this with a slipcover for the regular retail price right when it released. And now this slipcover goes for like $70 to $100 on eBay. So anyway, I just paid normal retail price for it when it came out. Lucky to have got that one with a slipcover. Okay, Conan the Barbarian, the 2011 version with Jason Momoa. The Conjuring, great film. Thoroughly enjoy the original Conjuring. The Conjuring 2 I have on Blu-ray, but there is, as of the time I'm filming this video in December 2025, no 4K for The Conjuring 2. The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. For whatever reason, with The Conjuring 3 and 4, they actually put The Conjuring 3 and The Conjuring 4 on the physical releases, even though those were not in the original titles for the films when they released theatrically, even though The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It was a day and date streaming release as well. But the official title still was just The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. And with The Conjuring Last Rites, it was just The Conjuring Last Rites. It was not The Conjuring 4 Last Rites. So I don't know why Warner Brothers has done that on the physical releases. It was just The Conjuring Last Rites in theaters on release day when I saw the film. But nevertheless, we have The Conjuring 4 Last Rites, as it says here on the physical release. And one thing I want to note about this that I think is really cool is this does have a variable aspect ratio of the standard theatrical 239:1 aspect ratio, in addition to the expanded 178:1 aspect ratio, which will fill up your entire TV screen. So really looking forward to checking that out in 4K. But I saw this in the theater on opening night with a packed crowd and enjoyed the experience. It's an okay film overall, but I still think it was a fitting end to the Ed and Lorraine storyline. The Contractor. Cool Hand Luke. Creed, great movie. Creed 2. And Creed 3. Days of Thunder, The Departed, excellent film. One of the great Martin Scorsese movies. Devotion, Die Hard, excellent film. Got to see this in the theater a couple years ago for its 35th anniversary, which was a really special theatrical experience, and the movie still holds up. It's definitely one of the great action / Christmas movies of all time. Dogma, Don't Breathe 2. I really wish that we would get the original Don't Breathe on 4K. Dracula with Gary Oldman, directed by Francis Ford Coppola. Drop, just got this during Black Friday. Dune, great movie, looks excellent in 4K. But I absolutely love Dune Part 2. It also looks excellent in 4K. I'm really looking forward to Dune Part 3 that we're going to get in 2026. But as far as Dune Part 2 goes, I really enjoy the character of Feyd-Rautha Harkonnen, played by Austin Butler. My favorite scene in this film is the Black Sun sequence, which takes place in the gladiator-esque arena. I love the way that the announcer introduces Feyd-Rautha into the Harkonnen gladiator arena. Feyd-Rautha! And then you got the entire crowd chanting, Feyd-Rautha! Feyd-Rautha! Oh, I love it. Great movie. I also love how Feyd-Rautha tests the sharpness of his blades by putting the tip of the blade on his tongue to make sure the sharpness of the blade is to his satisfaction before he goes out into the arena. I've always found that to be ridiculous, but funny. Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. Dunkirk. And Edge of Tomorrow. Great Tom Cruise flick. Elf is in the corner, followed by Elysium. Now, Elysium looks excellent in 4K. It is a disappointing movie overall, but I do like having this 4K copy because the visuals are absolutely stunning on the format. Elf, funny Christmas movie. Enter the Dragon. The Equalizer. I will never forget going to see this movie back in 2014 on a Sunday afternoon in the film's opening weekend, and halfway through the film, on the other side of the auditorium, some adults started jawing at each other, and one told the other adult to F off, and it was kind of a bizarre experience as a 14-year-old. My dad and I were not a part of the confrontation at all, thankfully. We were just minding our own business. But anyway, nevertheless, thoroughly enjoy this film. I still would say that this is the best of the trilogy, but I do enjoy all of these Equalizer films, which is why I have them on 4K. So, The Equalizer 2 and The Equalizer 3. The Equalizer 2 is probably my least favorite of these three films, but they're all directed by Antoine Fuqua. Escape from LA. And I like to note this is the yellow barcode edition, which means it's the corrected version of the film since the original 4K release had some issues. Okay, one of the great classic Steven Spielberg films, E.T. I remember I got this at Walmart for like $14.96 or something like that. Great deal. It's got like a CD in here, I think, somewhere, and it's a really excellent edition. That beautiful hardback slipcase with the lenticular cover. I love it. Evil Dead Rise. The Exorcist. The Expendables, which I enjoy. Now, the best of the series is definitely The Expendables 2, followed by the PG-13 entry in the franchise, The Expendables 3, which actually is okay. Like, it's fairly enjoyable. The PG-13 rating didn't ruin it, because then they brought back the R rating for Expendables, and this movie sucks. I don't know why I own this. I mean, I do love this lenticular cover. This 4K was an Amazon exclusive. I'm a completionist, what can I say? So, all 4 Expendables films on 4K. And then my second favorite film of 2025, F1. You said swan. What's a swan? You swan. Swan? Yeah, you're an asshole. Swans are assholes? Beat me, swan. Oh man. Yeah, this is a great movie. Saw this twice in IMAX and really looking forward to revisiting it on 4K. Joseph Kosinski is definitely one of the great directors working today. And I heard this could be getting a sequel, potentially with Tom Cruise. We'll see what happens, but yeah, F1, great movie. A must-own on 4K. The Fabelmans, good film from Spielberg. Really looking forward to Disclosure Day coming out. All right, The Fast and the Furious. I do not currently have Too Fast, Too Furious. It just is really expensive on eBay, so I'll get that one eventually. That's the only one I don't have, but it's probably my least favorite of the franchise anyway, so I'm not rushing to get it either. Now, The Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift is probably the ultimate guilty pleasure of the franchise. Really fun movie, and I know that this 4K slip is kind of hard to get, so very happy to have it on 4K individually with the slipcover. Fast and Furious, the 4th film, yeah, one of the bottom 3 of the franchise, down there with Too Fast, Too Furious, and also Fast 9 is just atrocious. But once again, I'm a completionist when it comes to franchises that I like, so that's why I own some of the ones in this series that I'm not a huge fan of. Now, Fast 5 is excellent. I absolutely love Fast 5. I remember seeing this in the theater back in 2011, and I've seen all of them in the theater since this entry, but yeah, this film still holds up. It is a great heist film. Excellent action movie. And I love Fast and Furious 6 as well. I mean, if you love Fast 5, I don't know why you wouldn't enjoy Fast and Furious 6. It's basically just the same movie, but as opposed to being in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, it's now in London. But yeah, I love Fast 6 as well. A lot of fun. And then the Paul Walker send-off film, Furious 7, actually directed by James Wan. He did a good job with this film. It's not quite as good as 5 or 6, but it's still a good time. I thoroughly enjoy Furious 7. This is like the high point. These 3 entries for me are the peak of the franchise, and it kind of just goes downhill from there. All right, so The Fate of the Furious is okay. I mean, there are some fun parts. I like the prison breakout scene with The Rock and Jason Statham. That's a lot of fun. But I mean, even just by the cover here, obviously this movie's absolutely ridiculous. And then the Fast and Furious spin-off, Hobbs and Shaw, which was okay. Fast 9, absolutely atrocious. Terrible movie. Now, I actually do kind of like Fast X. I will say that this is a guilty pleasure for me. It's obviously not like a good movie, but it's fun, and I like how it connects to Fast 5 And so since I love Fast 5 as an entry so much, I do appreciate this film for at least connecting back to one of the best entries, if not the best entry in the franchise. So this is a fun movie, and will we ever get Fast X Part 2? We'll see. There are budget disputes. That's what's holding back the filming of the final installment as of this point in time. When it comes to the Fast and Furious franchise as a whole, it's a nostalgic franchise for me. Like I said, I've been seeing these in the theater since Fast 5, and basically these were coming out every other year because this was 2011, 2013, 2015, 2017, 19, 21, 23. It was just a normal thing, you know, especially at my age, to be going to a Fast and Furious movie every other year. And as a big action junkie, I've just always had a soft spot for the films in the franchise, and that's why I like having the individual copies on 4K with the slipcovers. It's kind of a guilty pleasure franchise, but I still enjoy it. And I also really enjoy Jason Momoa as the villain in this movie. He's absolutely ridiculous, but I love his performance, if you want to call it that. But he's great in this movie. He's just having fun, man. That made me have fun watching him as a viewer. So those are my thoughts on the Fast and Furious franchise. Ferris Bueller's Day Off, classic 80s film starring Matthew Broderick. A Few Good Men, which is my favorite Rob Reiner film, R.I.P., but this is an excellent movie. Final Destination Bloodlines. This was a ton of fun in the theater. Now, I have not watched this on 4K yet. I don't believe it has any expanded aspect ratio, but I bring that up in relation to this film because in IMAX, when I saw this in the theater, they expanded the aspect ratio in all of the death sequences. And so it was kind of like death was IMAX. And so you knew death was coming when that aspect ratio shifted from standard theatrical 239:1 up to the IMAX exclusive expanded aspect ratio of 190. And I thought it was utilized really well, and it made it that much more immersive and that much more fun when those death sequences happened. And so I wish that they had ported that over to the physical release, but this was a ton of fun. This movie really surprised me because it was actually the first Final Destination movie I'd ever seen. And so this is still currently the only Final Destination movie on the 4K format. I imagine the other ones will come at some point, but yeah, this was actually a great time, surprisingly. I did not expect it to be as good as it was. It was a huge hit too. All right, The Firm. Yeah, man, The Firm is a great, great drama with Tom Cruise from 1993, directed by Sidney Pollack. A film that everyone needs to own in their collection. Whether you own it on DVD, Blu-ray, 4K, I mean, choose your format, but this is a must-own in anyone's physical media collection. One of the great Tom Cruise films of the 90s. All right, so I know in the corner I have Five Nights at Freddy's, but following that is Footloose. All right, Five Nights at Freddy's. I do think this movie is pretty fun. I actually enjoyed Five Nights at Freddy's 2 more. I have a crush on the main chick in this movie. I think the actress' name is Elizabeth Lale. She's hot. Anyway, this is a good time, but objectively not a good movie. So definitely like a guilty pleasure. Ford v Ferrari. Friday the 13th. The Fugitive. The best part of you ran down to crack your mama's ass and ended up as a brown stain on the mattress. I think you've been cheated. Full Metal Jacket. I already showed the Steelbook earlier, but this was a no-brainer double dip for me. One of my favorite films of all time. I saw this film fairly late. I didn't see this film for the first time until 2021. I've now seen the film about 15 times, and I think it's fantastic. And yes, the first half is better than the second half. I concur with that. But to me, that's not an indictment on the second half of this film as much as it is praise to just how amazing the first half is. Especially with Arlie Ermey as Gunnery Sergeant Hartman. Just excellent. Yeah, I mean, this movie overall to me is a masterpiece. You get one of the best characters in the second half of the movie, Animal Mother, played by Adam Baldwin, who I thoroughly enjoy in the film. So yeah, Full Metal Jacket's probably always going to be my personal favorite Stanley Kubrick film. Fury, Galaxy Quest, the original Ghostbusters, and Ghostbusters Afterlife. These are the only two that I have. I mean, you gotta own the original. And I remember I found this at a used physical media store on 4K with this pristine slipcover for $12.99 when it goes for a lot more than $12.99 on eBay. The only reason I have Afterlife as the only subsequent follow-up to the original is because this is the only other film that I've seen in the franchise. I did see this one in theaters back in 2021, and I haven't really heard the best things about Ghostbusters 2, and then I didn't hear good things about Ghostbusters Frozen Empire either, and I have seen clips of the 2016 one, and that was atrocious. So I'm fine with just owning these two in the franchise for now. All right, G.I. Joe Retaliation. Still remember seeing this film in theaters back in 2013, and this is a guilty pleasure for me. So I do enjoy having that in the collection. Okay, Gladiator 2. I have the original Gladiator on 4K Steelbook, but I opted for the 4K slipcover for the second film. It was okay, not as good as the first film, but not as bad as some people make it out to be either, in my opinion. It's okay. Then we have the Godfather trilogy, so the original Godfather, Part 2, and the Godfather Coda. Godzilla 2014, Kong Skull Island. I don't like Godzilla King of the Monsters, so I just don't see myself watching that one again. Not that these other ones are like fantastic movies by any means, but I just definitely do not see myself watching that 2019 film again, so that's why I don't have that one. Godzilla vs. Kong from 2021. And Godzilla Kong the New Empire, or Godzilla X Kong, Godzilla times Kong, Godzilla divided by Kong, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I believe the director said it is pronounced Godzilla Kong the New Empire, with the X being silent. But anyway, I am looking forward to the 2027 installment subtitled Supernova, so that should be fun. I believe that we're getting Space Godzilla, possibly. We'll see what happens. Okay, Good Fortune. Love me some Keanu, so I had to get a Keanu comedy in the collection. Great Gatsby 2013. Grease, probably my favorite musical of all time. And I love the opening Frankie Valli track. It's absolutely incredible. The Greatest Showman. The Green Mile, great movie. The Guns of Navarone. The original Halloween from John Carpenter and the new trilogy. Halloween 2018. Halloween Kills. And Halloween Ends. The 2004 Hellboy, and the original Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas. I have the Jim Carrey How the Grinch Stole Christmas in the corner, and then How to Train Your Dragon, the live action remake, which I gotta be honest, I thought this movie was kind of epic. I saw this in IMAX 3D. Now this does have a variable aspect ratio shifting from the standard theatrical 239:1 and then expanding to the IMAX exclusive 190. Very awesome that Universal did that, and as someone who saw this film in the theater in IMAX, I'm really looking forward to checking out how that expanded aspect ratio shifted over to the 4K copy. But I enjoyed this a lot. I really did. Okay, and then the 25th anniversary edition of How the Grinch Stole Christmas live action, directed by Ron Howard, starring Jim Carrey with that beautiful green 4K banner. Love that Universal did that. Okay, the 2003 Eric Bana Hulk that also has Jennifer Connelly, Nick Nolte in it. I do remember renting this film from Blockbuster quite a bit on DVD, so it's kind of nostalgic to me, and I do love this cover. This cover is just very nostalgic to me, so I really just own this for nostalgia purposes. Obviously, it's not the best movie, but this 4K slip is pretty hard to find. I remember I found this at Best Buy for like $12.99, $13.99, something like that, so it wasn't more than 15 bucks after tax, and now it goes for a lot more than $15 on eBay with the slipcover, so I'm happy to have that in the collection for nostalgia. Okay, The Hunt for Red October, John McTiernan film. You got Alec Baldwin as Jack Ryan, and then the film stars Sean Connery. I Know What You Did Last Summer. This is a fun slasher. I watched this for the first time earlier this year, leading up to the new I Know What You Did Last Summer, and I enjoyed this. I mean, this is not a great movie, or even really a good movie by any means, but I think it's a fun slasher movie, and I enjoyed it for what it is, so I'm happy I have it in the collection. But the new one was one of the worst movies of the year. I thought the new I Know What You Did Last Summer was absolutely atrocious, so I will absolutely not be adding that into the collection ever. Inception, and then my third favorite film franchise of all time, Indiana Jones. Now, someone recently asked me, why do you buy the later sequels if they're not as good? For me, it's because Indiana Jones is one of my favorite film franchises of all time, and I just like having more adventures with the character, even if they do not live up to these original three. So the most iconic is always going to be Raiders of the Lost Ark, which is one of my favorite films of all time. But depending on the day, I might actually like Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom more. I think that this film is gritty, dark, seedy, and an excellent gritty adventure film. And I just absolutely love it. And quite frankly, I could probably put both of these in my top 5 films of all time. I mean, these are easily my favorite Spielberg films. These are my 2 favorite films of his, and then I guess outside of anything Indiana Jones, my 3rd favorite film from Spielberg would be Saving Private Ryan. But these 2 films, just depending on the day, I might say one is my favorite over the other, but I don't know, man. I might go with Temple of Doom. Love me some Temple of Doom. And I just love all of these slips with their original poster artwork on them, and they're all glossy and shiny. It just looks absolutely beautiful. So as an Indiana Jones fan, I couldn't ask for better physical releases. Last Crusade, another great entry in the franchise. I know a lot of people would say that Last Crusade is their favorite, and hey, can't argue with that, man. They're all 3 of these original ones are excellent, in my opinion. Then Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Definitely the worst of the franchise. I don't hate any of these movies. You know, this is the first one I ever saw in theaters, so, you know, this movie is actually very nostalgic for me, and this is like the first or second Blu-ray that my family ever owned. So I do have a lot of nostalgia for this movie. Came out when I was 8 years old, and yes, as an 8-year-old, I liked the movie, you know? I was 8, so anyway, don't hate any of the movies in this franchise, but yeah, this is definitely the worst one for sure. And then 2023's Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, which is okay. Better than Kino of the Crystal Skull, but still doesn't hold a candle to the first 3. Okay, so moving along, I got Inglourious Basterds, excellent Quentin Tarantino film. Another excellent film from Christopher Nolan, Interstellar, which I had the pleasure of seeing in IMAX 70mm film last December. In the Line of Fire, It Chapter 2, Jack Reacher, Never Go Back, one of my favorite film franchises of all time, the iconic John Wick. And I love all 4 of these films. Here's Chapter 2. Chapter 3, Parabellum, which is actually the first 4K I ever bought. So this is something I will always treasure in my collection, this specific copy. And John Wick Chapter 4, which is incredible. One of the best action movies ever made. And this series is amazing. Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. Jumanji, The Next Level. They're filming the 3rd with these actors, Dwayne Johnson, Jack Black, Kevin Hart, and Karen Gillan, even though the 3rd film with these actors is technically the 4th film, but they're filming that right now. Okay, moving along. Jurassic Park, still the best of this series, easily. Then The Lost World Jurassic Park, Jurassic Park 3. Jurassic World would actually be my second favorite of the series. I think that this is actually a really fun film and just goes downhill from here. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, Jurassic World Dominion, which I would say is the worst of the series, and Jurassic World Rebirth, the newest installment in the series. And I really love the slipcover on this. I just wish that the movie had the same quality. Okay, the Karate Kid original trilogy, followed by a rare physical release of Killers of the Flower Moon from Martin Scorsese. And I know that a lot of people were disappointed by this film. I actually really liked this film. It's not one of the best Martin Scorsese or Leonardo DiCaprio movies, but I thought it was an interesting story. I really got to get sucked into this world with these characters. This excellent box set of the original 3 Karate Kid films, each with their own individual slipcovers. The Killer's Game. It's got a nice embossed slipcover. King Kong, the Peter Jackson version from 2005. The Last Duel, a movie that bombed in theaters, but I actually saw in theaters and I think it's really well done. Definitely a film that I'm happy to have in the collection. Last Night in Soho. Lethal Weapon. Life. One of the best comic book films of all time. Logan. A great film right here. Lone Survivor. Looper. Lord of War. The Lost City. Love Hurts. Lucy. Mad Max The Road Warrior. Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. The Amazing Mad Max Fury Road, which is definitely the best of the series. And Furiosa a Mad Max saga, which I really enjoy. It's just not as good as Fury Road. The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. Marnie. The Martian, Blu-ray slip with the 4K. This is the extended edition. The Matrix. The Matrix Reloaded. The Matrix Revolutions. The Matrix Resurrections, everyone's favorite, obviously. Mean Girls. And a great catalog comedy title, Meet the Parents. In the corner is Mickey 17 and the big time hit, a Minecraft movie. Hey Mickey, what's it feel like to die? You know, Mickey 17 is a mixed bag, but visually, I was very impressed by the film, and I loved the way that it looked in IMAX when it played in theaters, and it does look excellent in 4K. So, you know, the visual aesthetic of the film and the great dual role from Robert Pattinson makes the movie overall enjoyable to me, but I have a ton of issues with the film as well. I still wanted to have it in the collection. Minority Report. Really happy that this got a 4K finally. And I love that the 4K slip had this specific artwork on it, because I always remember my grandfather having the DVD of this, and he did not have many DVDs. He had a huge bookcase, but not many DVDs. One of the few that he did have was Minority Report with this exact artwork. For that reason, this cover in particular is very nostalgic to me. Really happy to dig into this Mission Impossible. Mission Impossible 2. The incredibly underrated Mission Impossible 3, which is excellent. My second favorite of the franchise behind Fallout. And definitely the best villain of the franchise in Philip Seymour Hoffman's character. Ghost Protocol, which is the first one that I got to see in the theater back in 2011, and I've seen all of them in the theater since Ghost Protocol. Rogue Nation. Fallout, like I said, my favorite of the franchise, and this does have some expanded aspect ratio scenes, which were incredibly immersive in 4K. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, but it does say Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 on this cover here. So, awkward. And Mission Impossible The Final Reckoning, which also has some expanded aspect ratio sequences. So really nice that Paramount ported over some of those IMAX exclusive scenes to this 4K release. Monkey Man. Mortal Kombat. Really looking forward to Mortal Kombat 2 next May with Carl Urban as Johnny Cage. The Mummy trilogy. I'm also really looking forward to the supposed fourth installment in this franchise. Murder on the Orient Express, followed by Death on the Nile. The Naked Gun from the Files of Police Squad, starring the great Leslie Nielsen and co-starring Priscilla Presley and Ricardo Montalban This was very, very funny, and the Naked Gun franchise has found a new fan in me in 2025. I also own the second and third Leslie Nielsen films on Blu-ray, and they're all funny. He's an absolutely hysterical actor, and he was perfect for these films. Really, really funny. They still hold up to this day. And I also was a big fan of the new Naked Gun starring Liam Neeson. This was a great theatrical experience for my dad and I, and I'll just say that my favorite scene in this movie, which had me gut-busting laughing, was the scene with a dog. I'll just put it like that, and I will leave it there, but very funny films. Nightmare Alley, A Nightmare on Elm Street, Nobody, Nope, another film with great use of the expanded aspect ratio. It looks excellent in 4K. I just don't love the movie as much as Get Out. North by Northwest, starring Cary Grant. The Northman, great movie. Nosferatu, another great movie. Oblivion, my personal favorite Quentin Tarantino film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, as you could probably tell from the poster right there. Absolutely love this film. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. The Christopher Nolan masterpiece, Oppenheimer. A+, 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5, whatever your grading scale is. I'm not one to give the highest grade to many movies, but this film earns it. In my opinion, it's truly a perfect film. Cillian Murphy gives the performance of a lifetime as J. Robert Oppenheimer. I also wanted to add that Oppenheimer is the film that I've seen the most in theaters, and it was the first IMAX 70mm film theatrical experience that I ever had, and so this film will always be very special to me, not only because I love the film, but also because it was the first time I ever got to experience a film in the most grand cinematic way possible, which is Christopher Nolan's intended viewing for any of his films, IMAX 70mm film. So Oppenheimer's a really special film for me, and as I said, it is a masterpiece. I also was fortunate enough in front of One Battle After Another in IMAX 70mm and Avatar Fire and Ash in IMAX 3D to experience the IMAX prologue for the Odyssey, which looks incredible. So I have gotten to see it a couple times now, and I cannot wait for the Odyssey next July. Pacific Rim. Parasite is in the corner. And then Patriot Games, which is my favorite of the Jack Ryan films. Great movie. I remember I got this a couple years ago, back when Best Buy still had physical media. This was a $7.99 4K title, brand new, obviously, with a perfect condition slipcover. One of the best deals I've ever purchased on a 4K. Parasite, excellent film. Patriots Day. Phantom Thread. The Phoenician Scheme. Plane. The Planet of the Apes trilogy, including Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and War for the Planet of the Apes. My favorite of those three would be Dawn, but I also think Rise is great as well. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Platoon. Point Break. All aboard! All aboard! Watch to the North Pole, of course. This is the Polar Express. Suit yourself, the Polar Express. My favorite Christmas film of all time, right next to the original two Macaulay Culkin Home Alone films. I absolutely adore the Polar Express. It's one of the few Christmas films that still brings me back to that magical Christmas feeling that I had when I was a kid. Excellent Robert Zemeckis film. Poltergeist. Come on, do it. I'm here. Come on, do it now. Shoot, kill me. Predator. Great film. And that will probably always be the best of this series. I doubt there's ever going to be another Predator installment that's ever going to beat this original film. But I did enjoy Predator Badlands, and that's probably my favorite of the sequels. But I also own the other sequels, Predator 2, Predators, and The Predator, in this nice collection. It also has some mini posters to the right of the thicker 4K case. It's a really nice addition. The Prestige. Pulp Fiction, great Tarantino film. Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Rampage. Ready Player One. Real Genius. Rebel Without a Cause. Red. Red 2. Red Eye. Red 1. I picked this up during Black Friday because I did want to check it out, and it was only $9.99 on Groove, so I figured I'd give it a shot. I mean, I saw the standard Blu-ray at Walmart for $12.96, so I'm like, I might as well get the 4K, brand new with a nice pristine slip for $10. Resident Evil: Welcome to Raccoon City. The Revenant. Now this is a standard Blu-ray copy. However, I did request the 4K for either Christmas or my birthday, since my birthday is exactly 2 weeks from Christmas Day. And so my dad's probably gonna think this is hilarious when he watches my video and sees this, because I'm using this as a placeholder on the shelf currently in hopes of getting that 4K, so I'll already have a spot for it. The Revenant is an excellent film. It's one of my favorite Leonardo DiCaprio films. I'm really looking forward to the new film Digger, starring Tom Cruise, from the same director. Saving Private Ryan, an incredible film that I did get the pleasure of seeing a couple years ago in the theater. What an excellent, excellent film. My favorite Steven Spielberg film outside of the first two Indiana Jones films. Saturday Night Fever. Saw. Scarface. Schindler's List. Now, what's interesting to me about Schindler's List is that this came out in 1993, and Spielberg came out with the original Jurassic Park and Schindler's List in the same year. That is unbelievable. Truly cementing him as one of the greatest filmmakers ever. Scream, Scream 2, Scream 3, Scroforum. This is just a standard Blu-ray, but there is no 4K of Scream 4 at this point in time, so it just felt right to complete the series on the shelf, especially with this having a black spine and just putting it with all the 4Ks. Scream 2022, aka Scream 5. Scream 6. And I'm really looking forward to Scream 7 in February. Scrooged. 7. I had the privilege of seeing 7 in the theater at the very beginning of this year in IMAX, and it was really, really cool to experience this film in the theater. Great David Fincher film. The Shallows. Ooh. One of the best 4K lenticulars there is. Couldn't believe I found this at a used physical media store for 10 bucks. Absolutely amazing slipcover. The Cornetto trilogy from Edgar Wright. So Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and The World's End. The Shawshank Redemption. Shazam, and everyone's favorite sequel, Shazam! Fury of the Gods. I got this for $10 at Black Friday 2 years ago, so that's why I picked that up. The Shining. So I just rewatched The Shining recently in the theater for its IMAX re-release, and this is an excellent film. It was my third time watching the film, I believe. And Jack Nicholson, man, he gives the performance of a lifetime in this movie. He is absolutely incredible. Enjoyed watching him become fully unhinged. This is probably my second favorite Stanley Kubrick film behind Full Metal Jacket. I know for a lot of people, The Shining is going to be their favorite. For me, The Shining is still a great movie. Wherever you want to rank it in your personal favorite Kubrick films, it is definitely one of the all-time greats, and this is a beautiful 4K slipcover release. Shrek 2. I have the original Shrek on 4K Steelbook, which I'll show a little bit later in the video. Signs. Seen It in the Rain. Drop the guitar, Samuel. Let it go, Samuel. Put it down. Up off early, son. Like you say, Pop. Jump on the work. Don't let the work jump on you. That's right. You keep dancing with the devil. One day he's gonna follow you home. Sinners. My favorite film of 2025. I absolutely loved Sinners. So that is why it is part of the thumbnail for this video. This was a huge surprise to me in the theater because I did not expect to enjoy it as much as I did. But this film is incredibly special to me. I got to see it several times over at my local movie theater in IMAX 70mm film. It was a beautiful experience. Now, what Sinners gets right is that foundationally, Sinners focuses on characters and setting up a great story, sets up a world that feels lived in, with characters that you can care about and with characters you feel have decades of history between one another, so that when later in the film the vampire stuff starts going down, you actually care about those involved in that situation. So it foundationally understands setting up characters and a great story before getting to all the vampire action. And that is what sets Sinners apart as a truly excellent vampire film, horror film, and character piece. I enjoyed Sinners so much, it could have never turned into a vampire film. I would have been happy following these characters and their lives and their backstories. And then on top of that, it was shot on IMAX film. And the last time I was watching this in the theater in IMAX 70mm, I felt like I was watching a movie from like 50 years ago that just had modern day actors in it, because you're watching the film fill up that 5-story tall by 7-story wide true IMAX screen with that 1:3:1 aspect ratio, and you can just see all the film grain. Knowing that you're watching a film print made the experience special and unique. I wish more movies were shot on IMAX film, because it is truly the most beautiful format in the entire world. So to be able to watch this film on the largest scale possible in true IMAX 1:43:1 film meant the absolute world to me. I also thought Michael B. Jordan gave an excellent dual role performance as the twin brothers Smoke and Stack. And I don't know that he'll be nominated, but I think he should be, because he was the best that I've ever seen him. Great direction from Ryan Coogler. And as you can see in the 4K Ultra HD content specifications, the film does have a variable 276:1 and 178:1 aspect ratio. As marketed with that presented with expanded aspect ratio sequences sticker on the front of the slipcover here, this film does retain the IMAX sequences that were present in the IMAX runs of the film, whether you saw the film in IMAX 70mm film like myself, or even if you just saw the film in IMAX digital 1:43:1 or IMAX digital 190, you still get those expanded IMAX sequences with this 4K release. And I've already watched it on 4K, and this film looks excellent. Buy it on 4K. It is absolutely worth your time and money. Sinners gets an A+. It's gonna be hard to follow that up, but let's keep moving. The Sixth Sense. Smile. Smile 2, which I actually really enjoyed. This was a really fun horror flick. Enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to. The Social Network. Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic the Hedgehog 2. And Sonic the Hedgehog 3. I actually really enjoy all three of these Sonic films. See, these are the kind of kids movies that I can really get behind, in addition to obviously the Toy Story movies and a couple of the Shrek films. Fun, PG, kid action movies that have a lot of entertainment value. Space Jam, Source Code, Space Jam: A New Legacy, Spider-Man: Into the Spider-Verse, Spider-Man: Across the Spider-Verse, Split, the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, classic, Star Trek: The Motion Picture, Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, Star Trek III: The Search for Spock, Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home, Star Trek V: The Final Frontier, Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country. I never got into Star Trek The Next Generation. That's not really my thing. Star Trek 2009, directed by J.J. Abrams. Great movie. Star Trek Into Darkness. Now this film was very foundational in contributing to the love of films that I still have to this day. Because when I saw this movie back in 2013 with my dad at a Saturday matinee showing in IMAX 3D, it absolutely blew me away. And for a while, I would have told you this was one of my favorite films of all time. Now, it's been a few years since I've seen this film. I highly doubt I would love it as much as I did when I was 13, but I will always be very nostalgic for this movie, for giving me one of my favorite cinematic experiences of all time. I will always have fond memories of Star Trek Into Darkness at the cinema. Star Trek Beyond? Not so much. It's okay though, I guess. Not terrible. Step Brothers. Suicide Squad, 2016. The Suicide Squad, 2021 from James Gunn. Much more fun. Not perfect, but definitely a good time. The Sum of All Fears. The Super Mario Bros. Movie. Looking forward to the Super Mario Galaxy movie. Tar. Ted. The Ten Commandments, one of the best looking 4Ks in my collection. Not the most rewatchable movie in the world, but it looks outstanding in 4K. Tenet. The Terminator. The Thing. Titanic. Great film. Tomb Raider. Tommy Boy. Top Gun. And one of my favorite films of all time, Top Gun Maverick. Top Secret. Trading Places. A really funny movie. Train to Busan. Transformers. Revenge of the Fallen. Dark of the Moon, my favorite of the sequels. Age of Extinction. The Last Night. Bumblebee. Rise of the Beasts. And Transformers 1. True Lies. Twister. Twisters. The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. Uncharted. Unforgiven. Universal Classic Monsters Icons of Horror Collection, including Dracula, Frankenstein, the Invisible Man, and the Wolfman. The Untouchables. V for Vendetta. Venom.
Venom Let There Be Carnage, Venom The Last Dance,
I love how it says Alfred Hitchcock's masterpiece in front of the title. They would never do that for any movie today, but that's the kind of treatment Alfred Hitchcock receives, and I guess rightfully so. But this is Vertigo. Since I'm talking about Vertigo, I must do my James Stewart Vertigo impression. I look up, I look down, I look up, I look down, I look up, I look down. Oh, great movie. Violent Night, Warcraft, Watchmen, incredibly underrated comic book film. Dark, gritty, violent, and I thoroughly enjoy it. Great movie. Wayne's World, Weapons, a major horror hit of 2025.
The Wild Robot, Wicked,
Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, Wonka, The Wizard of Oz, The Wolf of Wall Street. I rewatched this earlier this year, and this just might be my favorite Martin Scorsese movie. Amazing. The fact that Leonardo DiCaprio did not win an Oscar for his performance in this movie is baffling. Amazing performance. World War Z, X-Men Apocalypse, Zodiac. Here is the Harry Potter 8-film 4K collection. These are some of my favorite steelbooks in my collection artwork-wise, so I tend to rotate these out more frequently around my apartment and on the top of my shelf as opposed to some of my other steelbooks, so I like these to be easily accessible.
300,
The Batman,
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood,
Oppenheimer,
Top Gun Maverick,
the Walmart exclusive with the lenticular cover, The Wolf of Wall Street, I have a Killers of the Flower Moon 4K slipcover edition. Now this has been recently announced to get a 4K Criterion next March, but I'm very happy with the 4K editions that I have. Once again, I really enjoy Killers of the Flower Moon. I actually saw it twice in theaters when it originally released, and I don't necessarily need the 4K Criterion. I'm not a huge Criterion guy anyway, as y'all could tell from the earlier part of the video, as I do not have many Criterions to begin with. So I'm happy with the 4K editions that I have. Maybe I will get the 4K Criterion in the future. Never count me out when it comes to physical media. I'm just already happy to have had the movie on 4K physically well before there was a domestically released 4K copy. And a couple newer Arrow titles. The Mask, and the newly released Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Trilogy 4K Arrow collection. All right, time for Kinos. Airport,
Airplane 2, Airport 1975, Airport 77, the Concorde, Airport 79, Billy Madison, one of the great Adam Sandler comedies, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Escape from Alcatraz, and I now have completed the Dollars trilogy. A Fistful of Dollars, For a Few Dollars More, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I'm very happy to have finally have acquired this on 4K with the slipcover. Happy Gilmore, High Plains Drifter, Killer's Kiss, The Killing, Mad Max, Out of Sight, Paths of Glory, The Silence of the Lambs. It places the lotion in the basket. It places the lotion in the basket. Put the lotion in the basket! Buffalo Bill. Oh my goodness. Crazy dude. Snake Eyes. Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Tropic Thunder. And The Visit. I actually really love the twist of this movie. I always thought it was really well done. And time for Scream Factories, beginning with Alligator, Army of Darkness, Candyman, Child's Play, Child's Play 2, Child's Play 3, Escape from New York, The Fog, The Howling, Krampus, The Last Voyage of the Demeter, Piranha, Prince of Darkness, Riddick, They Live. Now these two are not Scream Factories. It just felt right for them to be here with the Scream Factories. I have Terrifier 3, with the nice 4K lenticular cover. Malignant, with a custom-made 4K slipcover. The original Halloween. Halloween 2. Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. The Halloween 1995 through 2002 collection. Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers. Halloween H2O, and Halloween Resurrection.
Beginning with my 4K Ultra HD Steelbook collection. 13 Hours, The Secret Soldiers of Benghazi. .310 to Yuma. American Psycho. Alien Romulus. Angel Heart. Apocalypse Now. Aquaman. Avatar: The Way of Water. Babylon. Back to the Future. Backdraft. Ballerina. The Batman. Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice. Bohemian Rhapsody. Boogie Nights. The Cabin in the Woods. Carlito's Way. Chaos Walking. A Clockwork Orange. Constantine. Crank. Cruella. Dirty Dancing. Dirty Harry. Django Unchained. Edward Scissorhands. Event Horizon. The Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2. The Exorcist. Forrest Gump. Free Guy. Fright Night. Ghost in the Shell. Grease. Grease 2. Guardians of the Galaxy. Hacksaw Ridge. Halloween. Heat. Hell or High Water. Highlander. The Hitman's Bodyguard. Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. Home Alone. Just rewatched this again the other night. What an amazing Christmas film. An all-time classic that will forever stand the test of time. Howard the Duck. The Hurt Locker. It's a Wonderful Life. I remember I got this off of Walmart.com for like $10. Could not believe it was that cheap a few years ago. Jackie Brown. Jaws, 50th anniversary. John Wick Chapter 4, Justice League, the Snyder Cut, Jumanji, one of my favorite steelbooks in my collection, Kingdom of Heaven, Kick-Ass, Kick-Ass 2, Kill Bill Volume 1. I just saw the whole bloody affair in the theater within the last couple weeks, and Volume 1 is incredible. I love it. I'm not as big of a fan of Volume 2. It's still well done, but I much prefer the first part. But still happy to have both of them in 4K Steelbook from Lionsgate Limited. Kingsman: The Secret Service, Kingsman: The Golden Circle, and The Kingsman. Knives Out, La La Land, Last Action Hero, The Last Witch Hunter, The Limey, The Lost Boys, Master and Commander, Men in Black, Midway, Mortal Kombat, Mulan, Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, Pulp Fiction, The Punisher, Punisher Warzone, Ran, Red Dawn, Reservoir Dogs, Requiem for a Dream, The Ring, Rocket Man, Rocky, Rocky 2, Rocky 3, Rocky 4. I did get Rocky 5, but it came in with a couple dents on it, so I'm exchanging that one. Should be getting my new copy back from Groove in the next week or so. Rocky Balboa, The Running Man. I will not be adding the new Glenn Powell Running Man to the collection, as that movie was really bad and I don't see myself ever watching that again. Saw, Saw 2, Saw 3, Saw 4, Spiral, Saw X, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Shrek, Sicario, great film, currently my second favorite Denis Villeneuve film behind Dune Part 2. Silent Night, Sisu, and I really enjoyed Sisu Road to Revenge. That was a lot of fun. Sleepy Hollow, Smokin' Aces, Snowpiercer, Spartacus, Speed, Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man Far From Home, Spider-Man No Way Home, Starship Troopers, Stir of Echoes, Super 8, great underrated film. When I saw the film back in 2011, it was just a great theatrical experience for me. Superman, The Thane, Tombstone, Total Recall, The Town, great movie, Toy Story, Mondo Steelbook, Training Day, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, Unbreakable, Universal Soldier, Us. I have Get Out on Blu-ray. I just need to find that 4K for a good price with the slipcover. Vacation, War of the Worlds, Warm Bodies, Warrior, great movie, West Side Story, Whiplash, one of my favorite films of all time, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, The Wizard of Oz, Young Guns, and You're Next. Now, I do have the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man films on 4K. I purchased these really nice, mastered in 4K Blu-ray individual slipcovers with the original poster artworks on them. And what I did was I transferred the 4Ks from this case, which I got on Black Friday a couple of years ago, and I put the 4Ks from this case in each of these individual cases. So while these are Blu-ray slips with Blu-ray cases, they do have the 4Ks inside. And I believe these might actually be getting 4Ks potentially with the slipcover. I don't believe it's confirmed, so I wanted to have these in the collection regardless, just in case, because I love these movies and I love their original poster artwork. And I actually saw Spider-Man 2 in the theater a few months ago, and this movie still holds up. Both of the original Tobey Maguire films still hold up, and they're two of the best comic book films ever made. Spider-Man 2, since I've seen that one the most recently, this film is amazing and I love it. And Spider-Man 3 is actually very nostalgic for me. So it's obviously the weakest of his three individual films. It is very nostalgic for me, as I was 7 when it came out. And then to round off Spider-Man films that Tobey Maguire shows up in, here's the Target exclusive, still factory sealed, of Spider-Man No Way Home. Then I have the Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 on 4K in this case right here with this nice lenticular slipcover. The Flash, Walmart exclusive Icon Edition. A few Blu-ray digibooks. Batman, The Green Mile, The Shawshank Redemption, and a few more titles that I've just added to the collection within the last week. The newly released Black Phone 2 on 4K. I wanted to have the first Black Phone movie right next to it to keep them together. I got this original Black Phone when it first came out on physical media, and it originally only released on Blu-ray and DVD, and then later on it got a 4K, and that 4K does not have a slipcover. Maybe I'll get the 4K at some point and just keep this Blu-ray slipcover to put over it at some point, but for now, I still just have this movie on Blu-ray, which I'm perfectly fine with. Begonia, Phantom Thread, and Godzilla -1. This is also a really nice imprint release that I got brand new. I was gonna give this a rewatch soon. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. And my entire limited edition Blu-ray collection for Fast and Furious. My Daniel Craig 4K Bond collection. Aladdin, The Call of the Wild, Coco, The Incredibles, great film, Jungle Cruise, an animated classic for my generation, Lilo and Stitch, The Nightmare Before Christmas, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, Solo, Toy Story, Toy Story 2, Toy Story 3, Toy Story 4, and I'm really looking forward to Toy Story 5. Lightyear, and Wreck-It Ralph. I also have the 4K disc for Ralph Breaks the Internet in this case as well. Well, that's my complete 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray collection update as of 2025. Thank you so much if you made it to the very end of this video. I thoroughly appreciate you watching, and don't forget to leave a comment, like, and subscribe. I hope to see you in the next one. Godspeed.